Number two, I asked myself a really important question, which is how can I start making some money from this thing that I'm doing on the internet? Because at this time, no personal branding, being an influencer, this was not something you grew up wanting to be. This was just becoming a thing. So I just asked myself a really good question, and that good question kind of led to where we are now, which I'll get to in a second. Number three is self-publishing for writing books became a thing. I always knew I wanted to write a book or books, but I knew I didn't want to go through the traditional process because you got to basically jump through hoops to get a book published traditionally, which I've done, but I've done a lot more on my own. So that started to become a thing. And number four is I just finished reading a book called The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, which most people are familiar with. And I was reading his blog at the time. And one of the things that Tim mentioned was, if you want to sell a product online, here's a little cheat sheet on how to test out your product idea. I followed his little experiment and I started selling $4.99 training programs to basketball players. So that is how I became an entrepreneur, technically, is when I started selling those $4.99 training programs. One was for dribbling, one was for shooting. Those are my first two products. And they started selling immediately. And when I did that, what I said to myself was, I can do this for the rest of my life. Because at the time, I'm a professional athlete. I understood for several reasons that being an athlete has a very short shelf life. Number one, because you do see players retire, they're not even 40 years old. And number two, I came out of a Division III school, so there was no guarantee that I was going to get the first job, let alone the next one. So I knew I had to be looking at what's the next opportunity after basketball and how can I kind of leverage basketball to the next thing. And once I realized that I could take ideas out of my head, turn them into real products, put a price tag on it and sell it, I said, well, okay, if this works, I can take everything I know and sell it and make money off of it. So that's really where that started. And that was all between 2009 and 2011.